Now then guys, welcome back to Drystone TV. Today I'm going to do a film about the Middlefill, how to fill a wall. This is how I do it and how I was shown to do it by my good friend Luke Powell. He's the guy that really showed me what the crack is with filling a wall. Yeah, I thought I'd been doing it right for 5 years, and then I came to wall with him even just after walling with him for an hour, I realised there was a lot to learn. So I'm going to show you what I know and explain, what the fill actually does. It's not just an inconvenient space in the middle of the wall to get rid of crap on the floor. The middle of the wall does a real job in keeping the wall, keeping it up. How you fill the wall, that makes the difference between how long it's going to stand up. A badly filled wall, even if it looks good, is going to come down after 5 or 10 years. And a wall that might look bad, if it's been filled well, it'll stay up hundreds. It really is that important. And the good thing is, it's really easy to transform how you do this. It's quite difficult to change how you actually wall stones, to your day-to-day walling, how you actually select those and wall them. That's quite difficult to improve at, but improving your fill, you can, with a little bit of information and being shown how to do it, you can change that immediately. So here is the demonstration of Middlefill, and if you're finding these kind of videos useful, let me know in the comments. I'm happy to make videos like this. I enjoy the process and I enjoy the challenge of having to translate my thoughts and understanding of this craft into a video, into a lesson that's easily understandable, and that other people can grasp in an easy way. So if you enjoy this video or any of this stuff I'm doing, please like and subscribe. Well, I'm in it. Is it in focus? Who knows? Tried to film this morning, but I should really know better, because my brain just doesn't work in the morning for getting any kind of words out that make any sense at all. So I've gone, had some dinner, had a brew. Let's try this again, eh? So I've set this wall up here to demonstrate, poor filling really. This is what you shouldn't do. If you don't know anything, this looks fine. It's, you filled the middle of the wall, and if you take the name Middlefill at face value, that's good enough. But it's not what I'm after, and it's not what I've learnt to do. The fill, it's actually doing a job. It's not just there. It's not just there to fill the hole. The fill in the hole is actually, doing something for the structure of the wall. The stones in the middle of the wall are there to create friction between the two sides. You need something in the middle that's going to bind them together. Fill like this, if there's any movement in this wall whatsoever, it's not going to do anything. It's just going to shift around and the wall is going to spread apart. What you need to be doing with your fill is making it dense, making it lock in together, so that if there was ever any movement, the fill actually binds the wall. That's, the friction of all the fill overlapping is something, that binds the two sides of the wall together, and it's just so important. It could be easily overlooked, and I'm sure people do overlook it for one reason or another. Maybe they're under pressure with the jobs and they can't afford to give it the time it deserves. But if you're doing a job for yourself, there's no real reason to skimp on it. And if you're doing a job for a client, then you always need to factor in the time for filling correctly. And in doing so, you are able to build better. You're able to put better stones on. They'll sit better if you've got something solid in the middle. Let's imagine for a second I'm wanting to wall a stone on here, and the stone is that deep. If I've got poor fillings in the middle, then I've got nothing to prop my stone up against. It's just on. You're propping a stone up on material that's going to shift around with any movement. So that's why it's so important. You can have a good looking wall, you know, it looks good on the outside, it looks perfect. If it's not filled right, it'll fail. It doesn't matter how good it looks. And you know, the opposite is true. You can have a really ugly wall. If it's filled right, it will last hundreds of years. So it's that important. So right, yeah, this was just an example of what not to do. So I'm going to take this out so that you can see the difference between sort of bang average filling and really good filling. So, well, we'll look at this material here. Why is it no good? It's just too small. This stuff's all frozen together, so it's going to be a little tricky to take out now, but it's just too small for the job we want it to do. Yeah, let's assume you've walled everything length in or there or thereabouts. You're left with these gaps in the middle. You want to find the biggest stone you can to fill that gap. So just chucking loads of small stuff in the middle, it's no real good at all. You'll get away with it, but if you're wanting to do top-notch work, then why take shortcuts? So yeah, we'll take this out now and do it right. So smash out this frozen stuff. I don't know who came up with the saying, but someone said if you can fit it in your mouth, then it shouldn't go in a wall. So stuff like that basically has no place in the middle of a dry stone wall, unless it is filling a tiny little microscopic hole. You want big stones in the middle. Right, let's take this apart. And as I said before, this is one of those things that I was actually not that good at, even when I thought I was quite good at walling. This was a learning curve that I had to go through. One of those humbling moments where you realise you've been doing something, well, not as good as you could have been doing for years. But there's no point in having, you know, that kind of pride. You just need to, swallow it. Take the lessons where they come. Right, that's actually a pinning on that stone, so I'm not going to take that. Take that out. This stuff's really bad. I've also heard people say you should just use the stuff that's around your feet to fill the wall, which I do see the logic in that. You're tidying up what's around your feet, clearing your working area, but if the stones around your feet aren't right, then don't put them in. Find the stones you need. And always question what you're doing. Is there a better way? There usually is. Now, yeah, the thing with walling is, it's just the way it is, but you're never going to get anything perfect. It doesn't exist. So you try and, all you're doing is trying your best with the knowledge you've got. And that's what we're going to do now. Now this is a good situation, actually, a good area to fill. It's, you know, there are actually some big gaps. Maybe not, you know, these stones here were maybe not ideal, but that's the way it goes, isn't it? you don't always get perfect stones, so you end up with a gap in the middle like this. So, and it just shows as well, it's important when you end up with something like that, you know, where you've had to compromise on the length. That means it's doubly important to get strong fillings in. So we're at a stage where we can get some good ones in. I'm going to actually go find some good stuff to fill the wall. I'm not just going to use what's here. I am going to find what I need and look for the shapes. So we'll see. Well, that's a good one. See, this is more like the stuff you want to be using. You know, filling the wall with the biggest stuff you've got. Now you want to be sensible with the material you've got at hand. You don't just want to waste all your best walling stone in the middle of your wall, but you also don't want to just use the middle as like a landfill for getting rid of just the detritus off a job. Yeah, make sure you've got the stone in the job to fill it with some good stuff. So yeah, don't know if that really made sense. So when you are filling the middle of a wall and you have a gap to fill, the number one rule is to find the biggest stone possible. The biggest stone possible for that gap, and you're looking to find a stone that matches, you know, the negative space in the wall. This is on screen. So there is a stone that is, roughly speaking, filling that hole quite well. Try it the other way. Yeah, that's not bad. The next rule, so that's not walled yet. The next rule of filling the middle is that every single stone in the middle of this wall is walled, if you know what I mean. It's not just chucked in, you're actually walling these stones. You find the best where they sit, and you're actually pinning them so that they sit solidly as well. It's not just, right, chuck some stuff in the middle, palm it around until it's kind of roughly flat. That's not the best way to do it. The best way to do it is to actually wall it. So I will now wall this bit of fill. I think I can get it tighter up into here. And the third rule of filling is that you wall your fill level. So this is all flat stone, so it's easy to see when it's level. If you've got really irregular lumps, put them so that there's at least one side of it, or like one flat side is level, rather than kind of any old way. Okay, so that's nearly there. Okay, there's one. Little sniffles. Okay, this is the size of fill we're looking for holes this big, not this size. Huge difference, huge difference. Okay, the next rule of filling the middle of your wall is to cross the joints within the fill. Now, this isn't something you need to just be fixating on thinking about it. It's something you'll naturally do anyway, even if you haven't realised it. But we do want to avoid having, you know, pieces like fill in the wall that's all stacked up on top of each other, that's creating these lines down the middle of the wall. You're always wanting to cross the joints everywhere across the entire layer of the wall. The joint isn't just this line at the front, the joint is all the way around every stone, and you're wanting to cross those wherever you can, to spread the load and create a structure that can deal with stresses. So those are the basic rules. Easy. So find the biggest stone you can for the hole, wall it level, pin it if you need to make it level, cross the joints within the fill, which that's going to, you know, boggle some people's heads a bit. And then once you've walled the big ones, then you go down a stage, you find the next biggest stone to fill around that one. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this whole wall now, and then we'll go back to how it was before, and you'll be able to see the difference. Now, it's often the case in England that or anywhere where there's existing farm walls, that you don't have the choice. You are stuck with a finite amount of stone, and you can't bring in better fill. You just don't have that option. And I understand that that's how a lot of my jobs are. But where you do have the option to bring in extra stone, then you should be looking to fill your walls to the best of your ability. And it's funny. It's something that I just hadn't got. I was sort of doing an all right job for a number of years, and I'd, you know, been through all the certification of walling, got all the qualifications with it. But I'd never just been like, you know, absolutely beasted on it. No one had ever said like, right, what are you doing? And I don't know if it would have been picked up on anyway. I've never come across, well, now I have, but there's not many people that take the care to fill a wall in the same way that Luke does. So I was very lucky to meet Luke. I mean, not only is he a good friend, but he really improved my walling. I tell you, it's absolutely freezing today. When I tried to do this video earlier on, I was absolutely shivering my tits off. So I don't think that would have really made a good video. Right. Using nice angular stone is good, because if there's ever any movement in the wall and you've got a stone that's got some weird knobble on it, it's going to take a lot to well, unlock that stone from the hole that it's in. So yeah, good angular fill's good, but always looking for the biggest possible stone you can for any given gap. And then fill around those with the next biggest. You don't want to be getting your grinder out to make your fillings fit perfectly, but you are taking care to wall them and make sure that those stones are locked in. I will even tap a few in, that's just to get them to where I can see they want to be. I'm not trying to particularly add any pressure on. Right, we're getting somewhere. If you've made it through with this much of the video, well done. Proper watching paint dry scenario, but sometimes it is helpful to see the real pace of work, see how it's done, rather than just a time lapse. There's a little lump on that. Just took that lump off that so it'd be easy to get another stone on top. Now you might get to this stage and think, well, that looks pretty full as well. We're halfway there. I've got the big ones in and then the other one's filling around it, but there are still voids, and I think that was definitely something I was guilty of a few years ago, just like getting it 70% full, 80% full, and then just walling on top of it. Strong enough. Still going to last a bloody long time, but we're aiming for, like, well, as close as we can get to perfection within the confines of each job. So we'll fill around that now, and this is when I'd be cleaning the crap up off the floor. So there's another few points to make about filling, and maybe this relates more to the agricultural walling scenario, but when you fill in a wall and you have got a limited amount of stuff, you want to get the biggest fill in at the bottom and then grade it up, because you'd find that higher up the wall you might not have the room for the bigger fill, and then you get into all sorts of other difficulties where you need to fill the wall with something, but the stone you've got left is too big to fill the hole because the walls come too narrow. So these are headaches that you can avoid by planning out where the stone goes within the wall. But yeah, as I say, that's in that classic farm walling, field walling situation where you just go up to a gap somewhere miles away. You've got the stone that's there and nothing else. And yeah, something like that. Fuck, you know. Okay. I think we're 90% of the way there. Find some little thin slivers. Just go in these. Seeing that gap between them stones, just put a little summit in there, little winnety boy. Not that one though. The aim, as always, is to create the densest object, the densest structure you can, and create the most friction you can. Every dry stone wall is going to fall down eventually, but our job is to make sure that is as far away as possible. Ideally 200 plus years. A wall like this should last longer than that. This is hellish wide. Got some really massive stuff lower down, so a wall like this should easily do 500 years. You've only to look at 500-year-old walls and then figure out how they did them. Yeah, this is, I mean, on a job I'd be happy with this. You can't, with this level of fill. I think I am still there are still a few holes that I could fill to go for that perfection level. Yeah, and the funny thing with this is it could always be better. I could have found a better stone for in there. But I think this is an example of a reasonably well filled wall, and it means that now I could place a stone on here. Yeah, wall filled like this, I know is now ready to be walled on top of. I can pin this stone onto that bit of fill and I know it's not going to move, compared to if you were to just fill the middle of the wall with any old crap, shrapnel, whatever you want to call it. Inevitably that small stuff is going to move and sink, and it won't be long before all the back of your stones fall in on themselves, the wall spreads apart and it's game over. So yeah, very, very important. Thanks again for watching, everyone. Really appreciate all the comments and all the crack on there. So yeah, really appreciate that. Feel free to like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll find time for some more of these videos. I really enjoy making them. So there you go. Enjoy filling your middles, guys.